Hi everybody, my name is Laura Worley and this is my husband Steve.
Hello.
And we wanted to do a video today about a little bit about our journey in hopes that maybe we can help you. There might be many of you that already know me and a little bit about my story, but very few people have heard my husband's side. So we thought we'd kind of share in the beginning. My husband and I met, we were pretty young, and we got married, started having kids right away, and had a lot of kids.
I was going to college, and you were trying to work, and you got sick, and it was challenging all the way through.
Yes, because we had met, and after a month and a half, he asked me to marry him, and after 3 months, we got married.
And she already had a child, which made that even more difficult to be a father. So there was a lot of tension trying to live and go to school and go to work, and it was challenging all the way through.
Yes, and poor Steve was thinking, what have I gotten myself into? But
Yikes.
Little did we both know it was going to even be worse than that, because I had suppressed a lot of memories of being sexually abused, physically abused, emotionally abused that were quite severe from many people, just most of my life. And
so we had issues, and it was hard to communicate and hard to work out. And so, then it was just trying to live. And she kept saying that I needed to go to therapy. And I would say, wow, you need to go to therapy. And so, then it was like, okay, I'll go if you go.
Yeah, and so we both went. And my excuse to go to therapy as well, I had a sugar addiction. Well, that was not even close to what was going on. But it did get me in the door. And for my side, what happened is I started going to therapy, and I started remembering all these suppressed memories.
The more she went to therapy, the more things uncovered. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to get worse before it got better.
It did get a lot worse. And this went on for many years.
Years.
And Steve was not a happy camper.
But we were committed.
Yes.
And we kept trying.
We did.
And we tried to get better. It was all hard road.
It was, and we had a lot of children. I have all these memories coming up. Steve's like, what in the heck am I supposed to do with all of this?
Yeah, it was hard. I wasn't sure what to do. That's exactly right.
And so we had a lot of struggles. It was super, super hard. And long story short, ended up going to multiple therapists, tried everything. And back in the day when I started, it was 1989. And then Steve started, and he worked on himself, and we did some couple things, and we did different couple retreats and that kind of thing through the years. But we're going to fast forward to about 10 years ago, where my husband and I had all this stuff coming up, and then we went to the specialist, and after the end of all this, it was super discouraging because we had spent $500,000 in therapy over these 20-some years.
Crazy.
Not only at that time did the year that we lost all of our businesses and everything, we had spent $100,000 out of our pocket for this specialist to help. And that really, it's not all the reason, but it did contribute.
Even though we did that, it was a lot of unresolved issues for our kids, and in some ways it brought a lot of stuff out, but it was also very difficult for a number of people in our family to deal with it, and it made a few things even worse, and that's the sad, challenging part of that.
Yes, and Steve, so you have to understand that we have 5 daughters and me, all emotional, and Steve's the only man. And so he's trying to handle all this, and it's not looking super pretty, let me tell you.
Yeah, and I grew up in a household where I wasn't allowed to talk. So, we weren't allowed to emote or do anything. And so then, I married Laura, who's the queen of emotions, and yikes. But, Laura said, I married her so that I could learn how to be emotional.
Yeah, so it's like he got the best learning experience possible. But what ended up happening after this, Steve and I, were going through a really horrible time, and we're going to lose all of our businesses, lose our houses, lose everything. We have all this pain, all this stuff has been brought up by the specialist, but there's nowhere to go with it. There's no way to release the pain. Our emotional pain is just through the roof. And I said a prayer, and I'm like, God, there has to be something that literally helps you release the pain. I don't have to pay $1 million for her, and I can actually help myself as well. And so that kind of started the journey. I found EFT a week later. So I started tapping on the things that I knew, and I was feeling better, and I was feeling better, and it was really helping. And then about 4 years later, I found Fast Rate T/Sheep Tactics, and I just started cleaning up all of this pain, and I was starting to feel great, and my life's changing, my relationships with Steve is getting better, my daughters, and they're not even doing this. All of a sudden, I'm starting to have this full-time business. It's something that I love and I want to do. And so all these things were opening up finally, and Steve, he started doing some tapping. I mean, he doesn't do it as much as I do, but you've had several sessions of tapping and other things that we've done that have really made a difference. So here we are.
Here we are. Still
years.
Together.
Yeah.
After all these years.
Almost 33 years. And so, but it's been super hard. And so what we thought, we have a lot of experience, we have a lot of knowledge, and we have a lot of wisdom that could really help anybody out there that's struggling with your partner. And, we all have struggles with our partners, okay? But if you want to add in the sexual abuse and someone being super abused, and you come into a family, you get married and you have all your baggage, and not only do you have your baggage, but more than likely your partner is not going to have any idea how to deal with the sexual abuse. And we're going to be frank, this is, over the years, it was a huge fight between us because of our, sexual relationship, because let's just say it wasn't great.
It was hard because the communication, the trust, when somebody's been really abused, that's the biggest issue is trust. And sex is all about trusting your partner, and that's the challenge that a lot of people have. And so some of the things that you can do to get through that is, right, you have to learn to trust one another. You have to learn to communicate better. You have to be committed to each other. And having God as part of your relationship was a huge thing. So that's what Laura's going to interview me and talk to me about some of the things that I've learned that is really important to have and to build a good relationship with your partner, even if they have some deep-seated issues. And those are some of the things I'll be talking about.
Yeah, and the reason, this kind of came to me, and I feel like for both Steve and I, we've kind of wondered, well, we've been through so much, and we feel like we're super grateful that God's helped us so much to get through. But, when you get, we'll always be on our journey, and we'll always be working on ourselves, but to get this far from where we've come through is pretty dang amazing. And so we thought, it's time to start sharing, because my husband and I were like, some people were talking, like the men, especially the men. I'm like, Steve, you have so much you could do to help men and say to men, and even help the partner understand what the man's going through. And, overall, a lot of men don't know what to do. I mean, no partner really does. If you have a partner that's been sexually abused and has a lot of abuse, because no matter what, the sexual abuse, if you've had it, unless, if the statistics are true, which I believe they are, is 1 out of every 3 girls have had some kind of sexual something by the time they're 18. And I think boys are a little bit higher, but it's still, maybe it's 1 out of every 5. But honestly, I think it's even worse than that.
Sad anyway, whatever it is.
Yeah, and so we just want to get out there and give some hope and some wisdom that we feel like we've learned over the years. And we're so grateful for the modalities that have helped us in these last few years. They weren't available 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and so our life probably would have been a lot different. But I'm super grateful that this, there's so many different people coming out and sharing ways you can help yourself, and that's really what inspired me, as well as a very big push by God to do the summit. So our whole goal with the summit is to highlight experts from all over the world that have different ways of helping people, because we're not all the same. And I feel like all of them had some inspiration at some point in their life to share this with us and help. So I want to bring that to as many people as we possibly can. And we really wanted, to share some things for men, because sometimes I think that gets overlooked. Women sometimes are a lot more easy, I think, to talk about certain things, and
their emotions are usually at the tip, and they're more easily accessible than for men.
So that's what we hope to accomplish, and just want anyone who's struggling with a partner, or the partner themselves with just being in a relationship and these things are coming up. You truly can get hope. You can have hope, and you can get over it. And it's a daily journey for sure, but you can have a great life that makes you feel happy.